local rally to protest the passage of the controversial Bill 5. Good evening, I'm Ryan Bonazzo. More than 200 people gathered outside Thunder Bay Atikokan MPP Kevin Holland's office today in opposition of Bill 5, which passed last week. The protesters are demanding that the government repeal the bill, and they say today's rally was the first of many. Justin Hardy was there and joins us in studio. Justin, what was the mood like out there today?
Ryan, people were fired up over the bill. The protesters say that Bill 5 tramples on the rights of regional First Nations and that it's an active threat to the environment. They also say that it could pose threats to workers' safety if it allows companies to bypass local labor laws. They want the bill repealed, and they're also calling for the resignation of Greg Rickford, the Minister of Indigenous Affairs and First Nations Economic Reconciliation. Bill 5, also called the Protect Ontario by Unleashing Our Economy Act, intends to speed up development projects across the province. The bill creates what the government calls special economic zones, where the province can bypass federal and local laws to get things built faster for mining and infrastructure projects, especially in the Ring of Fire. After multiple unsuccessful attempts to block the bill by the official opposition, the bill officially became law on June 4th. The bill has raised a number of concerns around the environment and labor rights in the zones, but the biggest opponent of the bill are First Nations in and around the affected areas. Local youth organizers wanted to support them.
I think what is kind of most at people's the forefront of their minds is the violations against treaty rights for sure. So we're trying to be in allyship with Indigenous communities here who have come out very strongly to say that they have not been consulted with the passing of this bill, and that with the special economic zones, there's definitely a lot of concern about how the Ring of Fire, Eagle's Nest, has already been designated as a site for a special economic zone.
The demands of the protesters include the repeal of Bill 5 and the resignation of Minister of Indigenous Affairs and First Nations Economic Reconciliation, Greg Rickford, the representative from Kenora Rainy River. The roughly 225 protesters were joined by local NDP member Lise Vaugeois. She says it's great to see Thunder Bay supporting the fight of the First Nations directly affected by the bill, like many of the bands in her riding.
They're absolutely opposed. And they've been saying so since the beginning. When we had only 2 days of hearings at Queen's Park, and much of that was in opposition to Bill 5. Chief Alvin Fiddler was there. Deputy Chief Annabette Penichcombe. There were many, many representatives there from First Nations communities, really from across the north, all saying no.
Several First Nations, including Neskanjika, Bearskin Lake, and Aralan First Nations, say they will be pursuing legal, political, and international actions. Justin Hardy, TBT News.
The union leader for postal workers in the Thunder Bay area isn't happy with Federal Jobs and Families Minister Patty Hajdu after she decided to force postal union members to vote on Canada Post's latest offer, a move meant to end a stalemate that's lasted 18 months. Hajdu posted this on X this morning, announcing that she's exercising her authority to direct a vote on the final offers submitted last month. The parties went on strike for 5 weeks last fall before they were ordered back to work while talks resumed. The vote will take place soon, but there's no set date just yet. Local Cup W President Leo Favreau says his members are frustrated at how this has all played out over the last year and a half, and this isn't how they wanted things to go. And he believes there's a split between urban and rural posties.
Not happy. Not happy at all. I kind of thought as of last week we were heading towards binding arbitration, and the union was working towards that, and Canada Post said they don't want it, and suddenly we're going to be forced to vote. My way of thinking is they want to get the urban and rural fighting against each other by having one group say yes and one group say no. It seems to be divided right down that line.
A new senior citizens village has broken ground in Oliver Papoonge. Penn Village will allow rural seniors to stay close to home while allowing them to get the assistance they need. TBT's Jacob Hamilton has the story.
A groundbreaking ceremony was recently held with the developers of Penn Village. MP Marcus Pulowski and Oliver Papoonge Mayor Lucy Kloosterhuis taking part. Construction crews have cleared the land along Highway 130 for the first 2 duplexes being built this fall. The design of the village was community-driven and intended to create a safe and enjoyable lifestyle for its residents. The overall goal is to allow seniors from that area to stay close to home with their families instead of moving to Thunder Bay and beyond for senior housing. Penn Village project lead James Colley says it's incredibly important to offer seniors a place close to their community.
You know, as we age and how we get trapped in our house, so to speak, you know, we get socially isolated and that sort of thing. So I think by staying in a rural setting where you've lived your entire life, I think is very beneficial. It keeps you in an environment with other people of similar nature, so you have social interaction, and I think it just suits very well personally.
The village will have 78 units, including duplexes and townhouses, with different kinds of assistance available depending on needs, from independent living to communal cottages where seniors can receive assistance from 24-hour staff.
There'll be 3 different types of units here. So there'll be garden homes similar to duplexes. There'll be about 44 of individual doors in that. There'll be some villas, which are sort of like townhomes. Be approximately 10 of those. Then long-term 2 assisted living buildings with an opportunity for 24 people to live in that.
With construction underway, the project is expected to last roughly 5 to 7 years, depending on the requirements needed for the assisted living cottages. In the meantime, the plan is to start moving residents into units as they become available. Jacob Hamilton, TBT News.
Police women from across the province were in Thunder Bay today to enhance their skills, build confidence, and network. The gathering of the Ontario Women in Law Enforcement was held at the Delta Hotel. About 100 women from various police forces were in attendance for the event. LU kinesiology professor Catherine Sinden was the MC today. She led a discussion on the different facets of life for female officers and the hidden mental strain that can go unnoticed and thus unaddressed in the workplace. Detective Sergeant Lindsay Riddell of the Toronto Police Service is a co-chair of the group. She was excited to bring this program to our region.
So every year for our training day, we kind of feature a leadership component, a wellness component, and a case study. So we kept those same themes with a northern touch to it. Through our organization, we provide training for our members, as well as we have an awards gala recognizing the hard work of women in law enforcement, both sworn and civilian, because really we can't do our work as sworn members without our civilian members. But then we're also now in a position where we can provide funded training opportunities.
You know, specifically women working in law enforcement, that's a really unique space. And I'm hoping today that they have the opportunity to give themselves, I guess, some grace and acknowledge their positionality in that occupational space. You know, women in these spaces, not only are we experiencing the work in a different way, but there's also the extra demands of, we spoke today a little bit about the hidden mental load that's associated with women in work.
The main goal of the event was to bring attention to the mental health burdens that female police officers face and to develop tools and skills while working in a male-dominated occupation. Hospice Northwest is being recognized for its work with the Palliative Advocacy Care Team. The organization just received a provincial award for its PACT program, a local initiative that provides outreach palliative care services to people who are vulnerably housed and facing serious illness. PACT is co-led by Hospice Northwest and Norwest Community Health Centres. The first ever Mount Pleasant Group Equity in Action Award was presented in Toronto and comes with a $10,000 donation. Executive Director Donna Jean-Pierre says the money will support their hospice clients, and they're also looking for a way to share it with their partners. She adds she's proud to be part of a compassionate response to homelessness in the region.
Dr. Nahid Dasani, who's a palliative care physician in Toronto, has said that homelessness is a life-limiting illness. It's a diagnosis because, of course, it's going to mean that you're going to have a hard time accessing all kinds of health care because your priorities are probably going to be just getting the food you need and the necessities of life for the day, as opposed to making sure you get to your cancer care appointment. And I think this team really goes above and beyond to make sure that people are getting that support.
Students at Ogden Community School have helped create a pollinator garden on their school grounds with help from the West Fort Kiwanis Club. The new garden will provide food and habitat for bees, butterflies, birds, and other pollinating insects. 3 years ago, Kiwanis officials started a young leadership program at Ogden called K-Kids. Those students will now play a critical role in conserving pollinator populations by maintaining the space that they helped create. The garden is dedicated to the memory of Scott Harris, a former principal at Ogden School.
Really excited that the K-Kids chose to do the pollinator garden, and because it was situated here at Ogden School, we asked the students if they would be willing to do it in memory of Scott Harris.
It started with them just kind of planning it out on paper, like figuring out where we were going to put the plants and how we wanted them, what we wanted, and it was a big group vote, and then it turned into us actually starting to dig up the grass and place down fresh soil and planting them.
Well, hopefully they get a lot of butterflies in that garden. Haley, it would certainly brighten up the day a little bit because there was some cloud coverage that rolled in this afternoon.
There was, yeah. We started the day fairly sunny, but those clouds really started to show up in the afternoon hours, and now we are predominantly cloudy. So it created a bit of a cooler day as well. We saw a high of just 16. That was around 2 o'clock today, but really what's the bit of a shocking factor in this whole forecast, or what we should say is more of the overlook of the day, is the low of 3 that we experienced at 7 this morning. We were forecasted to have a low around 7 last night, so to hit 3 is cooler than what we were hoping for, that's for sure. And there were a few areas across the region that saw some pretty chilly overnight lows, and that could affect gardening for this time of year. A lot of people are trying to plant things and see things grow at this time of year, but it's a little bit challenging with temperatures like these. Now, certain areas in the region had a little bit of a sunnier day, and actually a lot of places right now at this hour, we're starting to see a little bit more sunshine than we saw for most of the day. Areas like Fort Frances are nice and clear right now. They're at 21, which is their high for the day. Atokoken just recently got a little bit of a boost. They're now at their high of 20. They've had a very calm day. But up in areas like Red Lake, they've been on the cloudier side of things, a mix of sun and cloud, but leaning more cloudy. And they're at 17, which is their high. We see 16 in Sulico, as areas to the further north have just been colder in general. And areas in particular like Armstrong and Greenstone, they actually do have frost advisories lingering into our overnight hours tonight, because 12 is the high for the day in Greenstone, and that's 9 degrees cooler than what we're hoping to see for a high at this time of year. They are mainly sunny now, but they did see a mix of sun and cloud throughout the day today. Marathon's also at 12 at the moment. They've been cloudy to mostly cloudy for the most part. Wawa is only at 10 right now, but they did see a high of 13 earlier in the day, and 13 is where Sault Ste. Marie is at, but luckily they're seeing some sunshine at this hour. Now for Thunder Bay tonight, we will be clearing early this evening, so it's been kind of a back and forth day. We started mainly sunny, then we got cloudier. Hopefully those clouds will clear out again, but it could create a cooler situation as well. A low of 4 is predicted. Luckily, winds from the east won't be too gusty. But once again, if we're looking to see gardening, if we want to see greenery, we want to see more sunshine, Ryan, we want to see those warmer temperatures. So it'll be interesting. We've had a bit of a back and forth week.
Yeah, we want the rain as well. Of course, we know that we've had a lot of fires in our region. It would be great if we could get that at night, though, and then nice sunshiny
That would be
temperatures for us
perfect.
during the day.
If only I could request that.
If you could put it in order, that would be much appreciated. All right,
problem.
thanks a lot, Haley.